Hey, good morning, everybody. It's noon on Thursday, and it's time for live broadcast from Onterdot. I'm Bill Warner with Onterdot, as most of you know. So, yesterday, Wednesday, I published a video on leadership, and I'm really focused on the leadership of the company, the entire company, usually the founder as well. And I'm addressing myself in the video and here as well, uh, the top leaders of the company that report to the president or CEO. These are the people that are responsible for a lot of things I'm going to talk about in terms of leadership, because their leadership needs to be reflected into the organization so everybody leads in a similar manner. I'll get more to that in a minute. So, this is the last video in this Entrepreneurship in Action series, and you can find that on our YouTube channel. And of course, it's entitled Leadership. So I do invite you also to subscribe to the Onterdot, that's the name of the channel, YouTube channel. There are lots of playlists there that can meet probably any business challenge that you're facing right now, having to do with the business disciplines. I don't do videos on how to solve your business problems, but I do videos on how to deal with them, but not solve them. but all of the videos in that playlist series, from marketing, sales, development, how to start a company, how to finance a company, and many others, are going to help all of you. Anybody who is running a business will find benefit from this YouTube channel. It's free. I'm not charging you a dime for it. And I'm not going to pester you about taking on our mentoring service because you subscribed. That's not what I'm about. I'm really trying to help you. So please subscribe. Let's get on into this subject of leadership, however. Here we go. So, like in the video, I'm going to stress it again. All of these things that I'm going to be talking about with respect to the importance of leadership and what it looks like, and what great leadership looks like, all added up to leadership excellence on your part. That's what I'm trying to do in this whole series of Entrepreneurship in Action, is to help create excellence in business performance. One big factor in business performance is your leadership as the leaders of your company. What you do and how you do it will have a great deal to do with the success of your company. So pay attention. So, so let's get on into, well, what are the things we need to do to, achieve excellence? Well, the first one that came to mind when I constructed this is, of course, a vision for the company. The founders of the company probably put that together and brought others onto the team as the startup team of the company. But you all have a shared vision. Keep the word shared in mind. When you think of vision, remember it's got to be a shared vision, not just for startup. It starts there, though. The 3 to 5 of you that are starting the business share this vision. But guess what? Shared vision lasts forever, for the life of your company. And the way that's shared is you communicate this vision, you live this vision day after day after day. Never, ever jeopardize the meaning and the communication and the understanding and the buy-in of your vision. It is very fragile. It's like a dozen eggs in a box. Don't drop it, or don't bump into a wall and break one of them. So it's very important that the vision of your company is carried out in all of what you do. You live it. The next thing that I thought of is, not only you have to have a vision, but your company's got to mean something. You're in business for some reason. I call that the values you hold most important. These could be things like honesty, integrity. We meet customer needs. Customers come first. We're the best support organization on the face of the earth. We honor people for their great work. We respect the individuals. You see what I mean? And this could be half a dozen to a dozen things that you hold the most important in terms of what your company is about. It includes your purpose. Maybe it starts with your purpose. The purpose of our company is to what? And in so doing, the values we hold most dear are, and a list of them, and you can explain each one of them. So have a set of values. When you're out there communicating your vision, you're going to communicate these things as well. When you're meeting people in the hallway, or you're having casual chat over beer, if you're allowed to do that, after work, or out to dinner, or out to lunch with someone. Whatever it is that you're involved in, where other people in your company are sitting around with you and listening to you, you take every opportunity appropriately. Don't be overbearing in communicating your vision and your values, but let them know how important certain things are, and you do them in the context of discussions you're having, business discussions that you're having about certain business situations. You'll be surprised that a lot of the decisions, maybe you won't be surprised, but some of you will be, that how many problems that you're facing with customers and partners get resolved by understanding the value, your values, and letting your customer and partners know what you hold most important. And remember that you've told them that, and that you demonstrate your commitment to that value or values when you're resolving issues between you and when you're negotiating. When you're negotiating with another party, it's good for you to understand their values and for them to understand yours. And if you do that, communications becomes a whole lot better. So values, and the reason I singled it out, some people say, well, isn't that part of vision? Yeah, well, yeah, it kind of, yeah, it goes hand in hand. You got me there, but the values that you hold most important become the lifeblood of how you react, well, not react, but how you support your customers and how you negotiate deals with customers, how you negotiate with investors. So your values are going to help you in your relationships with others. When you go back to, well, what do we value most in this relationship? You usually can come up with a solution. So that's where values plays a big deal. I talk a lot about culture, as you know. You've heard me many times. I've done other videos on this, but the culture of your company means a lot. It's not just a piece of paper you stick on the wall. It's the sum total of what you're about, how we are with each other, how we relate to each other, how we relate to our customers and our partners and our investors. What do we hold most important? And we've learned a lot of that from our vision, and we've learned a lot of that from our values. But your culture is long lasting. When the founders of your company first started out, I hope they talked about what culture we want to be, or what culture we want to have, that is, and talked it through and agreed upon it. Signed a piece of paper that says we agree with this culture, however you did it. And from that very moment forward, the founders of the company proceed to live that culture. Live that culture. That means it's sacred. It's not like a religion here. I'm not. It's something that will be long lasting. It will last as long as the life of your company if you do it right. And as the company matures, and as you take on more people, and as you establish other partnerships, or you get acquired, or you acquire another company, your culture has to live through all of that change. And the way you do that is by communications. And everybody in the company looks at the top management team, particularly the CEO, for what the culture is all about. If those people, top management, ever shows that they're not in agreement, they're taking action that isn't in step with or in abidance by the culture of the company, that group of people has put a major dent in the culture of the company. And if it's done too many times, the culture of the company is going to fall apart. And a company without a culture is a company with no rudder. The power of culture is what ties everybody together with a singleness of purpose. Let's put it that way. And we all live it, and we agree with it. We communicate it to others. We let the outside world know what our culture is. But by golly, the culture originates from the founders and the top management of the company. If there is ever a crack in their communication and portrayal and living of the culture, it puts a major crack in the entire company and its future. That's how important it is. And that's why I'm blathering on about it for a long time. It is very, very important. So it's not just hey, one time a year we're going to have a meeting and refresh our culture. Okay, we wrote that down, we put it in the drawer, and we're done. No, you're not done. So the next thing on my mind about this, of course, is when you have a culture and a vision and a strategy underneath the vision, strategy, market strategy for the company, the business we're in, you got to have a plan, an operating plan for marketing, sales, development, manufacturing, customer support, and the list goes on. Every business discipline of your company. And things that you produce, services that you perform, have to have an operating plan of some kind. There got to be people responsible for executing a plan that has some objectives that it has to meet. And you proceed to meet them and report on the progress of how you're doing and solve the problems that face you every day that disrupts the path that you're on. I've never, ever heard of a perfect plan. You have a plan, then we try to execute it. We find we have lots of other things we didn't think about. That often occurs. You're normal if that's occurring. You're abnormal if you have no problems. Something is wrong. So have a plan. So we got a vision and a plan. And I've said this word many times already, communications, that when you have every opportunity, whenever you have an opportunity to communicate your vision and support your plan and reflect your values, take it. Communicate, communicate, communicate. You've never done enough of it. Particularly the top management of the company continually, for the life of the company, communicates the vision and portrays the culture. It all comes from them. People are watching them. If you get up to 100 people in your company, 99 people are watching the CEO to see what he said today, what she did on that issue, and on and on. So you're kind of in a fishbowl when you're the top management of the company, and lots of eyeballs are on you. Don't mess it up. Don't swim the wrong way. So I think I've covered communications to the extent I need to, but it's very, very important. I've often used this word focus, and people are sometimes tired of me saying, you need to be more focused. Focus, focus, focus. And I'm usually talking about market focus when I'm doing it. It's about 9 out of 10 times. But the employees of the company, your partners, your investors have to know that you're focused on a plan, that you're executing the plan. You're focused on a market. You're not wandering off doing other ancillary things that are spending money and resources, particularly people, doing things that aren't part of your plan. Stay on target with what you said you were going to do in your plan and in your strategy and the execution of each of them, that you stay on target with your communication of the vision and the nurturing of your culture. Focus, focus, focus. Don't wander. If you're blathering on about, as leaders, blathering on about other things that are not even part of your company, or there's a lot of ancillary discussions in your department meetings, or when you're talking to people, your conversation should be mostly about business, have a little bit of fun, but stay on target with what you have to communicate to employees. Time is valuable. You don't have a whole lot of time for nonsense. Focus, focus, focus. Finally, most of really good leaders, I would probably have to say all really good leaders, have advisors. They have informal advisors, they have formal advisors as advisory boards. They're paid consultants sometimes that provide advice on all sorts of different things, marketing and sales, markets, things like that. But realize that you, particularly your startup team, don't have infinite wisdom about everything. And there's certain subjects that you really need advice on, like how to reach customers, how to get leads to customers, how to get this product out the door, how to get it tested right, how to assure myself that this market I'm about to enter is the right one and that I have the right approach to the customers within it. Your advisors, the kind of people I'm talking about as advisors, are really senior people. Been there, done that kind of people that have lots of experience in lots of markets, particularly yours, lots of experience in the various business disciplines that are most important to you and the ones you're most concerned about and need advice on. But they're not a college kid that just graduated and got an MBA and now is really smart. They have no experience yet. So have advisors who've done these kinds of things that you're trying to do and can advise you of where all the roadblocks are, where the potholes are in the road, and quickly warn you that you probably had not tried that approach, but I know of two others that probably will work. People that can speak with wisdom and from experience. That's the kind of advisors you're looking for. And finally, I wrapped up the video with another pet argument of mine is if you've done all of these things here and more, I mean, this is kind of a top of the mind list from me, is that at the very core of you as a leader of the company is that you have some heart in the game, that people see you as an individual are really engaged. You have a heart for what you're doing. You lead from that heart and that belief that you have. It's core to your being, and you let it show. In fact, you may be a little vulnerable as you show it. Let them know. Shed a tear if you want to, if that helps. When you're talking about the vision of your company and how proud you are of people and the fine work they do. Lead from the heart. Let your heart show. Don't hide it. It's one of your most powerful communication vehicles, is when people know you're passionate about your business, that you care about people, really care about people. You're empathetic when you're listening to them, but you do get clarity in your listening to them, and you answer questions in a straightforward manner. And you recognize people for the great work that they do, and you thank them. After a while, they'll say, that woman has heart. They have a heart for their business. So my final thought for you before I take questions is lead from the heart. That's it. That's about leadership. So the bottom line of this video was, and still is, achieve excellence in all ways that are necessary for you to be a great leader. Lead from the heart. Lead from the heart. That's what it's all about. Achieve excellence and lead from the heart. So I'll turn off that thing. So let's see if we've got any questions here. And we do. And I wrote myself a sticky. I brought some with me too, from ones I got resulted from the video. This question is a good one. Why is culture so important? Or is it, that's not the way this person put it, is culture really number one? Is it the most important thing that has to be done in a company? Well, I don't want to have a beauty contest about culture versus value versus vision versus communications. They're all important, but by golly, I'll tell you this, if you don't have a culture that's well communicated, constantly, regularly communicated, then you're going to have problems. So from that vantage point, a failure in having a unifying culture could mean the failure of your business. It won't happen instantly. It will be something that erodes away teamwork. Not only will your employees recognize that you top guys really don't have a culture, you're kind of a bunch of individuals doing your own thing, your customers will start seeing it. Worse yet, your investors will start seeing it. Worse yet, your channel partners might see it. Anyone that's a subcontractor of yours could see it. And that spreading of the knowledge of the lack of culture of your company will eventually crater you. Because people who are in a company with no evident culture are going to go somewhere where they do have one. I've advised certain individuals who are interviewing for top jobs of companies, I say, check out the culture first. Make sure you ask, and ask not only the CEO of the company, but if you get a chance to interview some lower level people, which you should, ask for it if they didn't offer it. Ask them what the culture of the company is, how they feel about the culture of the company. And if you get bad answers, you might want to consider somewhere else. So that's my answer to how important culture is. It's very important. Here's a guy, I think this person's picking on me. What does focus mean is the question. Well, focus means pay attention. Limit the scope. Focus in on what your business is all about, what your plan is, solving the problems that have to do with achieving the plan and your objectives. And don't let your mind wander onto other things that you might be interested in doing because you're not. You got to be focused on what you are about as a market, as sales channels, as marketing channels, all hang together, focused on achieving business results at a certain market. I always advise, let's not try two at once. It's very expensive. It diminishes each other. You may fail at both. One, particularly for a startup, pick one and knock it out of the ballpark, for God's sakes. Do it really, really well. Prove to all those watching, like your investors and potential future employees or potential future executives, that you could pay attention to one market and get into that market and bring in a lot of revenue and show some profit. And once you've done that, you can think about broadening yourself further, but not until then. That's how important focus is. Next one is, how do I find advisors? Well, that's a dangerous question. If you don't know how, that means maybe you don't know many people yet. To find advisors, first of all, tap into people you know. And hopefully you know many. If this is not your first rodeo, you probably know a bunch of people. If this is your first one, then you may not. So start hanging out with, you can find people on LinkedIn in relevant industries that you can start to get to know. Don't be a curmudgeon. Hopefully when you've started a business, you have some social qualities to you that you've reached out on Facebook and LinkedIn and you're following a bunch of people. Well, identify those that are in your arena. Make pay particular attention to who they are. Reach out again and get on a Zoom call with them. Get to know them better. Not ask them to be an advisor yet. Just get to know them better, and do that many times until you find a few that you say, well, this person is really experienced in the things I have need of, experience and knowledge that I don't have, and continue the relationship. This relationship can continue very casually, and occasionally you call up for advice. You're not paying consulting fees or anything like that. Sometimes it could be so serious that you got a referral by one of your best associates, friends, to a really serious, nationally known consultant, let's say, or experienced executive in your field. Then you want to consider doing something a little bit more formal, put them on an advisory board in your company, and utilize their talents that way. You might want to pay them a little stock. You don't pay them a salary for an advisory board, except when you're a really, really big company and you can afford to do such things. But those are, you find advisors the same way you find friends. You start reaching out and looking for people you know, re-engaging, and getting referrals to others that might be able to help you. You've got to talk to a lot of people. In the fairy tale world, you got to kiss a lot of frogs and move on until you find a prince. So that's like such a great joke, but there you go. Question is, how do I communicate values? Well, I'm going to answer that in a different way. Certainly, I'll answer how to communicate. First thing you got to do is live those values. You got to be those values. So when you start talking about your values and it's obvious to the audience that you don't believe in anything what you just said because you don't live that way yourself. So what the heck are you telling me to do that for? Be careful. So the values that you hold most important, if you're the CEO or a founder or another top executive in your company, you're going to decide what your values are, and you're going to live by them. Day after day after day, consistently, regularly, and without failure. One little failure where you've done something in your communications or in your professional behavior that really grates on the values that you said you hold most important will take a long time to repair. So don't let that happen. So then, once you've learned how to live these values, which at the start you should be already living the values you're talking about, if they're so darn important to you, is you take the opportunity as you are engaged with teams within your company, or individuals in your company, or even standing up in company meetings talking about the company. Anytime you've got a chance to talk to somebody or resolve an issue that they needed your help with, you're listening for opportunities to reiterate the value of the company here really is honesty and integrity. So we are not going to make up stories for this customer as to why we failed. Here's one example, for example. So when you take an action, you make a decision, you can say, as you relate the decision you've made, and you couch it in terms of the values of the company. We are known as a company that always delivers, and if we ever make a mistake, we fess up, solve it, and communicate back to the customer what we're going to do about it. We're straightforward. So that settles any concern on the part of the audience that our values hold strong here, and that we're not going to try to lie, cheat, or steal in this relationship with the customer, and mislead them as to what actually happened if they have a problem with one of our products or services. So there's a few examples, and I'm sure you can imagine many, many more. And there are lots of opportunities to communicate your values, and I think you should do so. And say it when you do it. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. go to our YouTube channel. Tomorrow, I'm going to go live again. God love you. But just for a special talk at noon, I'm going to announce a new thing we're going to do on these Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's all about interviewing other entrepreneurs. So you don't hear me talk. You're going to hear some other people talk who may probably make more sense than me. And that's a good thing. So watch for that. Come back at noon tomorrow. I'll tell you all about it. I'm really excited about it. And I'm doing it over this Ecamm streaming stuff here, where I can do interviews straight to people and broadcast them out over Zoom here. So have a good day. Great to talk to you. See you tomorrow at noon. And until then, have a good day.